We're here.
We are.
Hey, good seeing you, Bijan.
Hey, you too, Dan.
Long time no see.
It's been a while,
Yeah,
at
I
least
know.
for in person, you know?
Yeah, I know. Hey, listen, we want to welcome everyone here for a very, very special show. You might be a little bit familiar. I'm going to introduce myself, and I'm Dan Delaney. I'm originally from Boston, and I was pretty active back in the back in the day in the early '80s, and then I moved up to New Hampshire after having a big long stay in Boston. I went to New Hampshire for about 11 years, and then I ended up out in Arizona where I am now. And but you'll probably see a lot of my history because of from a lot of my Boston people I had a lot of chance to play with. But I met Bijan Taghavi out here, and I was featuring prodigies in a place over there in California that I had, and it was really quite an experience because Bijan has a very impressive childhood as a classical prodigy, and so I'll let him tell you a little bit more about his background. But this is a very special show. I typically been doing since the pandemic, and we're coming into this. Last New Year's was a lot different for all of us, I'm sure, and for all the players out there that are watching. This is I kind of took the bull by the horns here, and we've been pretty much running live streams. This is number 34 for me since March, and trying to do different tunes, different themes, different things. So this one I was going to do solo, and then I said, well, you know what? I've been talking to Bijan a lot lately because we're going over this whole streaming thing with our technology and stuff. So, and he's a dear friend, and I said, let's collaborate here and have some fun. Bring in the new year so we can at least feel like we're playing with some other players. Now, due to the streaming situation where there's a little bit of a lag between Michigan and Arizona, we're obviously not going to be able to play together. So we're going to take turns playing. And but I'm going to let Bijan say a few words about what his background is, and I'm going to play a tune for you, and then we'll take turns playing some tunes and talk music. Okay, so go
Yeah.
ahead, Bijan.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dan, and thanks for thinking of this idea. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to be streaming for everybody. Hopefully, trying to bring some enjoyment to people's New Year's Eve, especially during this time where it's so odd. Everybody's probably cooped up in their houses, so I hope this can provide some kind of entertainment for people on New Year's Eve. But I'll keep my introductions a little brief because I want to get to some playing and, of course, hear Dan more than anything. I'm an audience just as much as everybody else. But
I want to hear him.
yeah, yeah. But originally, I was born and raised in California, and that's where I met Dan. Actually, I was classically trained under the mentorship of Robert Estrin, and I went all the way, learning concertos and Rachmaninoff preludes and Beethoven sonatas and down the whole 9 yards, and then I met Dan, and that's where sort of my trajectory changed. But we'll talk about that more as the show goes on. Currently, I'm in Michigan. I was based out in New York for a while, but now I'm in Michigan where I'm doing a graduate assistantship teaching, and it's just a really weird time. I'm at least fortunate to be in a more secluded area in the midst of this pandemic because New York was hitting a little rough. But yeah, so I hope this provides some enjoyment for some people. We'll get to some more talking probably as the show goes on, but I'll roll it over back to Dan and we'll get started here.
Okay, this goes back to all us players will understand that I think I've changed what I wanted to play probably 10 times. I think Bijan probably did it 11. It's like we're kind of like we as soon as we feel like what we're going to play, and we end up changing it like 2 seconds later, and that's kind of like typical. We go to gigs often. I've had the bass player say to me, "You didn't play one song on the set list." That we go in there. So we go into it. So anyway, I'm kind of adhering to something here a little bit. So I'm going to start off with some Duke Ellington, and it's an old tune written in 1938 called "Prelude to a Kiss."
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, man.
Nice. That is so awesome. That it's
Thank
such
you.
a great tune too, and I mean Duke just is such a great composer. I always find it interesting, you know, um, between Duke and Billy Strayhorn because both of them uh, wrote for Duke Ellington's orchestra, and Billy was basically like Duke's right hand man.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
interesting because that one I think is actually written by Duke, but uh, it's always like there's almost like two batch of tunes, the Billy tunes and the Duke tunes. And Billy was classically trained, and his influences are really classical music, so you can tell in his writing. He
Yeah,
was
yeah,
raised
because
on
it goes,
Upper
it's pretty
Manhattan Medical
complex. It
Group.
goes all over the place, you know, and as you
Right.
know, it's,
Yeah.
it's
But
fun to play, and it's surely it's one of his, you know, it's one of his staple ones that I really like to kind of relive each time. It's always a new journey when you take it. And I know you get a lot of interesting things on the agenda. So again, maybe you'll stick to the list, and maybe you won't. You never know.
yeah, I mean that thing you said at the beginning is totally true. Just like we're always, you may totally have a plan going into a set, but it
That's right.
usually never happens. And
That's
then
right.
leading up to it, you're always changing tunes. It's like, why did you even come up with one to begin with? And
Yep, for sure.
Fred Hirsch actually, who for everybody watching is, if you don't know Fred Hirsch, you got to check him out. I'm going to play a tune of his later on in the set, but I've had the privilege of studying with him, and one of his main things that he always talks about is how he never plans a set, which is so weird to think about because his sets always are so perfect. They just seem so perfect, like as far as what tunes he plays and how he plays them and the arrangement of the set. But he says he leaves it up to the moment because it depends on what he feels like playing. And we both experienced that for tonight too, of course. But yeah. So I'm gonna get going here with a composition by Dizzy Gillespie. This is entitled Con Alma. And an interesting thing about this tune is that it's actually when Dizzy wrote it, he wrote it, it was his contrafact of another really famous jazz standard. And I bet you, for all you jazz musicians out there, you might not know which tune of his, or what tune this is a contrafact of. But try to take some guesses in the comment section below, and then I'll spill the beans afterwards. But this is Dizzy Gillespie's Con Alma.
Yeah, Bijan.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah,
Dan.
man. Very nice, man. And again, it's for those players out there, you know, this is a very difficult tune to play, and he just does wonderful things with it. You know, I can tell you a little bit about because we got a lot of playing planned for you, but I do want to get kind of the logistics of how we met. You know, Bijan is a very like I say, he was a featured artist I was rotating prodigy players in a show in a series, and it was really a lot of fun for me. You know, it was really a way to kind of give them opportunities and have them be heard. And but Bijan has this interesting kind of gift that, and a lot of players will attest to this. For someone that has been exposed to jazz like he has since he switched to jazz at, was it 16, Bijan? Maybe 16, 17, and you're 23 now. So it's like to find it. And I remember when he first did it, it's like it just blew me away. Within the first year, like a few months after he made the switch, he was showing me this whole Kenny Barron solo he did from memory, orally. He transcribed it. So it's like these are the kind of gifts that he has, and I really want to I'm gonna enjoy following his career for the rest of his life, because he's got a brilliant future, and I told his mom in a thing, I said the oyster is his, to take from. The world is his oyster, and it's really so true, because he's got such a immense future, and even in light of the pandemic and everything, when things are freed up again, he's going to be heard, and to do this much in his career in such a short time, it's remarkable. So
Hopefully after the pandemic, I'll be able to be heard on a real piano too.
Yeah. Well,
I'm jealous of you over there.
Yeah.
With that, what do you have again? What kind of you got it? Do you have a concert grand, or it's like a 7-foot?
I got a C3, a 6.1, yes, Yamaha C3.
Nice.
And I was using the Ravenscroft, so people have heard I was doing a lot of things on the Ravenscroft, and that was really fun. I was using my Kurzweil as a controller, and so that gave me that whole thing. And you're using a Piano Tech or something? You have
Piano Tech, yeah. It says
Piano Tech.
sample
So we use
sound.
all that stuff. I'm also an artist for Earthworks microphones, so inside the piano here, for my grand piano, I'm using the Earthworks mic, and it's fabulous, and it's on all my videos and stuff. So it's really I always want to put a plug in for them, because they're a wonderful company. They happen to be located in New Hampshire. We have so much technology going on here, guys. It's unbelievable, because we're actually on Zoom, but we're actually pushing it out to Facebook, and then we're recording it so we can put it up to YouTube. So it's kind of like, we got all kinds of things going on. And so what I want to let you know is any comments that come through, we'll take time after the show, and we'll personally reply to all you guys, and we'll say hi. And it's.
What helps if you can comment and let us know that you're here. Otherwise, if you don't comment, then we just see numbers. We see 30, 40.
Yeah. So it's so anyway, it's we're gonna continue now with a tune that's turned out to be kind of a theme song for the year. It's written in 1945 by Carl Fischer, and called "We'll Be Together Again." And it's one I remember doing it close to the end of my gigs, and before everything shut down in March. And who would ever think? Because I was playing the piano at the Omni Resort here in Scottsdale, and I played this, and I posted it. Here's one of those kids. Who would ever think that a month later that the world would shut down? So it really is like. So it's turned out to be kind of a. It's pretty wild, what we're in right now. So we try to capture this music and find new meaning in it. And
just one thing I never said what.
Oh yeah. And you got to show. You have to show. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah, watch this.
So this is actually, I heard this from Michael Dees, who, those of you, if you don't know Michael Dees, he's a fantastic trombone player. I mean, when you think of jazz trombone, you don't think of anybody other than Michael Dees, at least nowadays. But he teaches here at Michigan State, and he's here, and I've hung with him a couple times, and one time we were playing this tune, and after we finished it, he told me that this was a contrafact, that Dizzy, when he wrote Con Alma, it was a contrafact to him of another tune, and it turns out the tune that it's a contrafact of is All the Things You Are, which you would never think, because usually a contrafact is you keep the same chord changes, but you change the melody. But this, it was the other way around. Is he had the melody in mind. You know, not usually all things you are. But he took that same melody, he kept the melody the same, but changed the chords under it. Pretty wild, right?
Yeah, man. Wow.
Would
Yeah,
you never
so-
thought of that, Dan? That was
No, no. He, you know, I made him tell me. He wasn't going to tell me. You know. And
Yeah, I was gonna
said,
leave
No,
it.
no, man. I want to know what the heck you're talking about. And so I thought it was pretty cool. You know. So for those players out there, check that one out. So we're going to get on to "We'll Be Together Again," and let's see. I want to thank you all for coming out. It's really, you know, it's making it nice for us to play, and but we've been having fun hanging out here playing. So we get in, we start talking about what we're going to do in the show. We end up talking music for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it ends
2
up being
hours
like
go
an
by,
8-hour ordeal.
yeah, it's pretty wild. A lot of fun. So anyway, let me get on to this. We'll Be Together Again. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Swinging,
man.
Dan.
We'll be together again.
Swinging, Dan. It sounds great.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, it's always a fun one to play, and you do different things with different stuff, and you play solo. You know, a lot of solo piano playing was a big part of what I've done. You know, and we and Bijan were talking about this, about how by playing a lot of solo piano playing, when you go to work in a trio, you know, you learn how to really control the dynamics around on the piano. You know, in a lot of ways that are very advantageous for being a good trio player. So you'll probably see a lot of my trio stuff online with and on my YouTube channel. But and I know Bijan has done a lot of trio work too. And this is kind of like the training ground where you can really get all your vocabulary and get all your stuff together, and you really get, you know, you learn how to really build a driving piano and shout choruses and all kinds of cool
Right.
things when you get with a trio.
Yeah, because the piano is basically like some call it an orchestra, some call it a big band, but it's
Yeah.
the biggest band there is, you know, and you can
That's
do it
right.
all at once.
That's right, man. That's
And
right.
when you play with a trio, it's like rather solo is like you have to do the brass, the saxes, and the rhythm section, and the drums and everything. But when you play trio, it's like, okay, now you're only the saxes, or sometimes you're only the brass.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, you have to, if you get the solo thing down, then the trio is a piece of cake. It's fun.
Yeah,
Not
it's
the
cool.
solo is obviously a lot of fun because you're doing everything.
What are you playing next, Bijan? I remember if you decide you're going to change it or you're going to keep the same one.
Yeah, I don't even know what I was planning to do. I think what I'll do is I'll play Darn That Dream next.
Okay, cool. Cool.
It's a great
Cool.
old tune, and we've been doing a lot of talking, so let me just get to some
Yeah,
playing.
go ahead.
We'll chat more afterwards.
Cool. Get it. Yeah, man.
You got a scarf on.
Well, I had to do this when you weren't watching, So everyone that might know Bijan, he has this symbol, And for some reason, it's like, I, I wear this when I'm freezing out. But Bijan will wear this, this is his symbol. So, I'm going to leave this for him.
I can match your color too.
Well, go look at
let's
this.
be uniform over here now.
I get my cashmere thing going on. It worked good in New Hampshire, and actually cool. It's actually pretty cold here now. So
yeah, what color is that? I mean,
it's like black with brown inside. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
But anyway, I'm going to leave this to you. But anyway, we want to take a moment here to tell you a little bit about our teaching. It's something that and who would ever have thought that we would be doing all lessons now and instruction virtually, even at the university levels, and it's worldwide, and as Bijan knows, I developed one of the first video teaching programs in the world, back in 1989. And I remember doing it. I was in Brockton, Mass, south of Boston, and I had these big SVHS cameras. And some of my students, they still have followed me all these years. We're talking, 35 years ago. So 89, 90. Yeah, it's like over 30 years ago. I can't even do the math, but it's like
yeah.
it was like, and this is before cell phones, it was actually before even computers really were just starting to.
I was going to ask you that, by the way. So this is like pre-internet.
It was wild. And you know what? Let me share the screen. I'm going to show you. I got some pictures here. So I'm in.
There we go.
Okay, so this right here is when I moved up to New Hampshire. I was video piano man, teaches piano from home, and I had this giant apparatus that went with my 7-foot piano. And it got a lot of attention. I was working from my house up there. Here's the Brockton Sunday Enterprise. There's all the cameras over my overhead, and with the microphone and the mixers, and I had all videotapes, all VHS from my library. And here I am here with my long hair and stash. Man, I was like your age, Bijan.
Wow.
Or maybe around there. So it's no, actually I was a little older. I was probably 20. It's hard to say. 1991.
What's the difference? You were young.
Yeah,
you were young.
I was definitely a younger version than I am now. And then and here's Video Maker magazine. Play It Again, Dan. They did a nice story on me because they, I was one of the first to surge this out here. Is the Boston Herald, and again with the giant Super VHS cameras. And here's me and Bijan back in after it was a really
wow.
It was a good beach day, I guess.
Oh wow, yeah. I was telling Dan earlier, it's like we're bathed in oil or something.
yeah, we did the concerts out there, and it was really fun. It was cool, and he was one of the featured prodigies that night, and here we are, another event.
Oh wow,
and
check
that out, man.
When is that? Look at that hair of mine, too. What is going on?
You get that hair thing going on. You have a scarf. Is there a scarf going on? Maybe.
No. I didn't get hip to the scarf until I went to New York. Yeah. Then I realized. Then you know what happened actually is, you start to wear scarves just because, not to turn this into a scarf conversation, but I started to wear it because, it gets cold, so you have to wear it. And then, summer came, but then once I would take it off, like my neck started having a temperature of its own. Like once you get the neck comfortable with that, that extra layer of heat, you don't want to let it go. So even during the summers, I got the summer scarf vibe down.
Well, you know what? And the thing is, so we both do teaching by correspondence, and it's and I'd like to extend a welcome to anyone that's out there that would be. I have a lot of my students, I'm sure, that are visiting tonight. I know I haven't seen the log of what's coming in right now, but anyway, I want to. Let anyone know they can reach me, Dan@pianoinstruction.com, if you want to, or through me, message me through Facebook, and I'll be happy to do a free, one-on-one Zoom with you, and we could talk about assess your situation, beginning level up to pro level players, and I could tell you how I can help you and how my program works. And I know Bijan does the same kind of thing with his. He's doing a virtual great instruction as well. So it's
yeah. So again, let me just say a note on that, just because when this pandemic started, I'd like to think myself I'm a little tech savvy, or I've gotten prepared for that. But You know, all musicians, performers, but also teachers worldwide sort of just got stuck into this conundrum of like, okay, what do I do? You know, I have 40 students, I have 50 students, whatever, however many students the teacher has in person, and all of a sudden now they have to negotiate dealing with them online. Well, this is sort of tailor-made for Dan because regardless, pandemic or not, Dan's system, your system is all online. And, you know, I actually find one thing that's interesting about the way Dan teaches too, both of us teach through Zoom and we do live lessons and things like that. But Dan also, in addition to Zoom lessons like I do, you also have your personalized correspondence, which is rather than doing a live lesson.
That's pretty much all I'm doing right now. Occasionally I'll do a live lesson just for the initial consult, and then when they come on, they basically will work as a corresponding student, and that's all the files are sent, the video files are sent by Google Drive. So I'm actually, it's a very convenient program, and it's very powerful because then they're actually watching videos. I have over 2,000 pieces in my library, so I have all the content at HD video of me playing all the lesson content, so they can watch it over and over again. So that's something that it's very hard to replicate in an actual Zoom lesson because you have to, you only so much time you can show the stuff. But I have a library, so they get all the PDFs and all the videos and everything to go along with a given lesson. So it's kind of different, and but it's very time consuming, and I'm glad I have it behind me a little bit right now, and I'm still always building because the students don't leave. They come in and they hang out for a long time. But what I want to do today is we're gonna touch upon something right now of original music, and this is something that I've been very active writing. I've written about 14, 15 tunes since March, and I know Bijan's planning on doing an original of Fred Hirsch, is the great Fred Hirsch original. It's a marvelous piece. I wrote this thing a couple of years. I was planning on going to Italy to do some playing. And I played this tune on my last show called Palermo that I wrote. It came out really nice, but prior to that, a few years prior to, maybe a couple of years prior, maybe a year and a half, 2 years prior to the pandemic, I was planning on venturing out there. I really had this desire because I'm half Sicilian, even though I have a Delaney, very Irish last name. My mom's watching. We are Sicilian, It's like so. Anyway, I have this yearning wanting to go out there and check it out and do some playing, and I made some contacts out there. So I had it all set up to go, and then the pandemic hit, so I made some contacts, and I was, decided where I'm going to stay and how long I was going to be. So anyway, this next piece of music I wrote is called Italia Lullaby, and I wrote it just before the pandemic, but it's still, it's touching home now with me a little bit because, this pandemic's not affecting just us here in the U.S. It's like, it's over there, too. So I'm in contact with a lot of people over in Europe too, students and such, and I'm seeing them, have an equal amount of struggle. So anyway, hope you enjoy this original called Italia Lullaby.
Great. Yeah, Dan.
Yeah. Italia Lullaby.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's like, and I play these things, and I really enjoy having the opportunity to play this with trio stuff too. So eventually, that's what we're hoping to have happening here, as I'm hoping to eventually have the jazz trios coming from the house, and that's going to be another fun spin-off of things. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
sounded really. I mean, that was a great tune, Dan.
Yeah, it's a fun tune to play. It's all those, and when I write that stuff, I kind of think about that old, the villages of Italy and kind of things,
Yeah.
and then, but there's there's a lot to be seen out there. So I'll be there, but it looks like I'll be making the rounds around family first in the U.S. I haven't seen
Yeah,
my
totally. I
mom
know.
or,
Yeah.
So that's probably going to tie up a few years of getting a dose of traveling in the United States when we can, before we
I
can
know.
start traveling abroad.
I was just looking. My Facebook gives you memory updates. Like what happened a year ago, what happened 2 years ago, and I just got notice of the happened a year ago or 2 years ago. I did a tour in Japan, and it was such a beautiful time. And usually every summer I like to travel, either going to Europe or going to Asia, and to get a chance to perform for different audiences and get familiar with different cultures. But this year it's just been really difficult because we have to basically, just to stay alive, we have to kind of
You had some things,
hunker
Bijan, that
down.
you shared with me. You mind sharing it with the folks here about some of the stuff that you did before the pandemic? Because
Yeah,
I know you
sure.
were pretty active performing.
Yeah, let's see. Let me share my screen here. Oh, that is a picture of me teaching. That is. Yeah, so I had a few fun things that happened before the pandemic sort of struck us at the beginning of the year. This was in January out here in Michigan. I got a chance to play with the Rodney Whitaker trio, and this was actually a half and half concert we did. Half of it was jazz trio with Rodney Whitaker, if you guys are not familiar with Rodney Whitaker, is not only well known but just a really great bass player and has played with a lot of great people of our time. But it was a half trio concert, and then we also got to play the bowling suite. I don't know. Have you ever heard the bowling suite, Dan, for
No, no.
flute and jazz piano trio? Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yes,
all
yes, yes,
written
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy
yeah,
stuff. It's
yeah,
some
yeah,
really crazy stuff. Playing it through, it's like you have these. For classical players, it's not that weird when they see like bars, like every 3 bars is changing, like 5/4 7/8 7/4 6/4 6/8 3/4. So I'm like reading this thing, and it's like, what on earth? But it was a lot of fun doing that. And this was a show in New York City at the actually a couple days before that Michigan show. And this is one of my idols, Dick Oates, and I was really lucky that that we had the pandemic didn't strike us yet, so I still got a chance to play this gig because I had a lot that were canceled, obviously too. But Dick Oates is just such an amazing alto player, and he's like one of those people. It's like you have your wish list or your bucket list of people that like you just want to play with constantly, and he's one whose music I also just like on a nightly basis. I'm listening to him. He's such a beautiful alto player. And here I have actually the last gig I did before the pandemic happened was actually out in California,
okay.
and this is with a trio that I did at Jazz at the Merc. This was on March 5th. So my last gig was March 5th, which was like a week before lockdowns happened. We had a really young, talented drummer who's sort of like the next prodigy in Orange County. But also on bass, we had Luther Hughes, who Luther's been a mentor to me, and he's most famously played with the Gene Harris trio. He's such a swinging bass player. And Dan, you also got a chance to play with him too. I snuck up, if you don't mind. I
Yeah,
have a couple pictures of
some of
you
my
playing with him
old
too.
picks.
And also with Paul Krybeck on drums, who is
Yeah,
also
great.
really great. But it also is Luther's birthday today, so I just want to give a special shout out to Luther Hughes. He is a New Year's Eve baby,
Good
and
guy.
yeah. So today is his birthday, so I want to give a special. I think he's checking this out, but if not, you'll see this later. And just want to give a big happy birthday to Luther Hughes. And actually, I also got another picture here of the first gig I ever played with Luther. It was back in 2015. Look how, again, Dan, my hair is a mess there.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
And I was also with Glenn Cashman, who's a great tenor player out in California. So from that to this, but Luther, I can't speak highly enough of Luther. But anyway, so these are some things that happened for me before the pandemic. Also, speaking of teaching and scarves too, I'm out here at Michigan State University. I'm doing a grad assistantship, and I get the opportunity to teach some piano classes here and work with some really great young people who are not only great musicians, but they also love to mock me and dress up like me. This was on on my birthday a year ago. They all came to class dressed up in scarves. They thought it would be really funny to to dress up like me. But I mean, that was, you know, before the pandemic, we got to see each other in person. Now it's all Zoom. And even most recently with Luther, just a couple days ago, actually, I had to, or not had to, but I got the privilege to be a guest panelist on a master class he was hosting for Cal State Fullerton, where he teaches. But again, for him too, everything is online now. So that's just the nature of the times we're living in. But
very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was trying to tell everyone. It's like initially that when I see this opportunity and you know, for Bijan to have done so much in such a short time professionally, I just and remarkable. You know, it's a remarkable gift. So we're going to keep an eye on him. But I can't wait to have you hear what he does with this wonderful tune that he's going to play next. And it's because we kind of played around with it earlier, and we were doing a sound check, and it's really something. So it's all.
Well, I'm going to tease them on that. I'm going to tease them on the Fred tune, and I'll play that in the next round. Because just because you played something in 3 and this is in 3, but what I do want to play now, though, is a great old standard. This is entitled My Romance.
Oh, cool.
And the reason that I'm playing this tune is because one of the main things that I love about Dan's playing, and that really not only has influenced me greatly, but sort of inspired me to explore this language, is Dan's stride piano playing. I mean, we talked a little bit earlier about the challenges of solo piano, but Dan is able to get such like a full sound out of the piano, and he really has that stride thing down, which is not that common today, shockingly, out of solo players. But Dan does it really well, and I know you're
my guy I listen to is the great Dave McKenna. Dave McKenna was like he was the king of that, you know. And growing up as a young kid, I saw it, and then from playing a lot of solo piano, you're driving it around that way. It makes it. You learn how to fill the piano out. It really is. It's a cool thing. But he does. I show him, and he does it right away. So it's not fair.
Jeez. Yeah. Anyway, so this is My Romance.
Okay. Beautiful, Bijan.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, man, really nice, really nice. You know, and again, for all you
Welcome from
people
you.
watching in, you know, with the and you know, Bijan's playing the electric piano, and it's something that, you know, it's with technology. You know, you see, even saw my 3 of my live streams over the summer. I was using that Ravenscroft thing, and it's, you know, it works, and it's really quite, you know, quite inspiring. You know, but it's something that you know, in light of the pandemic, you know, Bijan's stuck in his place there. He can't even get into the university kind of thing to even have pianos accessible. It's just really a different time. So it's and it
It is
sounds
really
great.
nuts.
It really sounds great. So it's something that I know everyone can relate to this now, and especially with the technology where it is. The also wanted to make a brief note here. We've had some people that have if they're if you're so inclined to want to donate to this cause here, I have ways in the
Oh, yes.
description.
I forgot.
Again, it's greatly appreciated, and and this is something that's been very special way for me and Bijan to hang out, and we're friends, and we share the same music language, even though there's like 40 years between us. You know, it's frightening to see where this kid's going to be when he's my age. It's like, you know, but the thing is, it's really fun, and we've even talked about, because what has transpired through doing this, not only are we talking about our switches and our angles and the lights and the backdrops and stuff and the camera angles and all the stuff that goes along with streaming and frame rates and all the stuff to be able to pull this off. We go into this to talk about technology. We end up talking about music, and it's really fascinating for me to share my skills on harmony, improvisation, and time and things. And Bijan has his own philosophies on it. So we'd like to, we're going to plan on something together where we're going to do some workshops, and it would be really fun. I think, you know, because I was fascinated. Next thing you know, we're talking for an hour and a half, talking about voicing techniques and improv and harmony and all kinds of things related to playing. And even for a beginning player to look in, you can kind of get a bird's eye view of what's happening at the higher levels of playing, you know. And so anyway, that's coming. This next tune that I'm going to play is an old tune that I learned with, I think I played it with the great Dick Johnson back in Boston. And I first learned it from Dave McKenna. I didn't learn it, I actually heard Dave play it. And it's an old tune, and it's written in 1938. Earl Father Hines recorded it. And he got actually accolades by Lenny Tristano, and what I was reading about it, and Lenny Tristano and Errol Garner were talking about Earl Father Hines could really swing, man, back in, you know, and this was written in 1938, and it's an old tune called Rosetta. And this is again, these are old tunes that a lot of players, you know, aren't really learning. You know, they really don't have it as part of their songbook or their gig book, you know. And it's something that I kind of dig deep, and not just because of my age, it's because I'm trying to keep the art form really honest and true, and really going back into that kind of you know, the earliest stages of you know, this kind of playing. So it's really hope you enjoy it. And I even tell my students, learn these old tunes, because then you're carrying on this kind of vibe instead of trying to sound always different and try to change the music. You know, it's like, stay true to it. You know, it's kind of cool. And so anyway, Rosetta, here we go.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah.
Killing, swinging.
You know, it was cool. It made me feel good. I said, Bijan, you know those tunes? He goes, no. I was like, oh, cool. Kind of cool. But he knows a zillion tunes that I don't know. Some of these, you know, some of the stuff that he's playing around, you know, in his new generation.
Oh, I don't know. It's so hard. I try to keep up, but there's so many tunes. But that's part of the fun of it, you know. I mean, that's one of the things I've really enjoyed about the pandemic is just a chance to just sit down and get back into the puzzle of learning tunes. Because that was what really drew me into it at first. Because with learning a classical tune, it's like you gotta that's a 30-minute work that takes at least 6 months, probably more, a year, maybe 2 years, depending on how much you practice. But with jazz tunes, there's you get they're short tunes, and some are quick to learn because they have these forms, these AABA, where things repeat. So if you learn one A, you learn 75% of the tune. But there's so much to it, and there's so much history you have to do. Learn the lyrics, learn about the history of the tune, the composer, what he intended, how others have played it. Because you can virtually, especially some of the more common tunes, you can find everybody playing that, all the way people from Thelonious Monk to Oscar Peterson to people of today and
You know what's cool,
Joe
John?
Lomano.
You know, and I was thinking about this, and this came up most recently because I was playing this. Some of my Throwback Thursdays, people will see that I did this gig back in Andover, Mass. I was like your age, man. It was like I was like, it was young. I think it was 1982, and and we were playing all these tunes. We just do on a jazz gig, and we'd feature different artists and stuff. And I think about it, and I look at you, and it's almost like I'm looking in the mirror of myself, and I was like this young, and it's like.
Yep.
We're playing all the time, studying and practicing, and gigging 6 nights a week and teaching, and it was it's remarkable. It really is kind of. I kind of feel like I'm looking in the mirror, kind of thing, Except I don't have a scarf on,
Well, you did. What happened to it?
I know, but I don't want to spoil it.
I know. No, but I gotta say too, for when I got started, and you were so helpful to me, because I didn't have any guidance, and I tried to sort of learn on my own, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So one of the first things you did, in addition to, I think it was at that Prodigy concert, I tried to play like Fly Me to the Moon and some other random songs, and then I was playing it for you, and you're like, no, here, play these rootless voicings. And I just learned them by rote, and then I had this very hip A minor 9 rootless voicing, and then every time I'd run into another song where I'd see an A minor 9, I'd always play that. And the second thing, I was just gonna say, the second thing you did is you gave me this CD with these fake books, and that was the first time I saw a bunch of charts like this written out, because I thought you always had to learn them by ear, which it's funny because now that's what I do they say that you should learn them by ear. But what I did with that is, when you gave me these fake books, I just took the index, that they'd say what all the tunes are. And I just started going on YouTube, and I'm like, wow, there is a lot of stuff that I don't know. It's like, when am I going to find the time to learn all of this?
The funniest thing is, this kid has so much guts that he says, well, I want to play a jazz thing. And I'm doing a concert here with other players. He's there, and he's part of this concert. He goes, I want to play a jazz tune. I said, well, you're really not a jazz player, man. So he's like, he had this thing. So I'm like, well, try these voicings. I wanted to give him something fast so he can pull it together really quick, because I know he's like a sponge, Like, give him the voicings, and he has them all down. And then it was like months later, he's coming in playing Kenny Barron solos. I was like, what is going on? So anyway, that was like, I remember that day, and it was like, I'm like, wow, he is so brave to want to go and after having a classical, kind of really shining career, at a young age, and then going into the jazz world and really not really knowing what to do. It's
Right.
very aggressive music, and so anyway, it was fun. So
But I gotta say, and I'll get to playing because I don't want to talk forever here. But I gotta say, just how carefully gentle you were about it was pretty important, because I don't know if you know, but before that, because I always tell the story of how I got started in jazz, and it's so convoluted because it kind of I had a bunch of half starts and stops at a bunch of places. But about a year before I did that concert with you, I had there was this Latin jazz gig. It was with a great Grammy artist. I won't mention his name in case he doesn't want this vibe of him being out there. But you know, obviously he realized that my playing wasn't up to par, because I hadn't played jazz up to that point. I just got handed like 15 like lead sheets, and I didn't even know how to read a lead sheet. I'm like, what are all these chords? Like, I have to learn all this stuff for like a month from now. Like, what am I doing? You know, but you know, it was, you know, he really leaned into me, and it was almost kind of depressing. I'm like, gosh, like, what am I doing? I love this music, but like, I can't do this. You know, like, I can't do this.
Went off and you
So
started
then,
great people in the world, some of the best
hmm
people in the world, you know, available, like Fred and, you know, Phil and
right.
everything with,
hmm
you know.
But no, I was gonna say though is then that the next year when I, you know, had that other incident with you where, you know, I decided to randomly play these jazz tunes for the Prodigy concert you were hosting. The fact that you were sort of gentle about it and sort of like nudged me into it, I can't thank you enough for that, because
Well,
that.
it could have been the thing that turned you away from the music in general. So that's where, you know, being a teacher, and you're exposed to that now because you have class full of people, and you have to be
hmm
compassionate, you know, because if you
Right.
don't have compassion, you're gonna, you know, people just, they won't want to move forward, you know. So
Exactly. It's tough because you have to be compassionate, you have to be nice, but you also have to be truthful. You can't lie to them.
yeah,
Just
you got to be truthful in a nice way. Yeah, yeah.
Just one quick thing, and then we may, for a second before I play, talk about technology, because it kind of on cue. Dan, I think your either your lapel is pointed away or your
Oh,
your mic.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, technology. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, it was picking up the earthworks, so now I'm back.
Oh yeah, that was so it's going from your piano.
That's coming from my piano.
Oh jeez.
So we knew it was going to happen sooner or later. There's so many buttons to hit. Okay, when he goes on, I got to do this and hit this, and it's like. So anyway, thank you for letting me know.
I think we were perfect up until now, but like Dan said, we have so many different. We both have the same machine actually. This A10 Mini Pro. It's fantastic. It's like this live stream box, and it is expensive, but it was well worth it for us. And like Dan, I've heard you say, like back in the day, this thing might have
Yeah,
been
we
like
get all the
$10,000,
different
$20,000.
angles and stuff we can do with it. It's
Right.
wild, pretty
So to
wild.
get the different angles, and you know, just to have something that works and allows us to live stream together like this. You know, who would have known that a year ago that we could have done this? So it's a lot of fun to do this, and it's a pleasure to do with you. But so let me get to some playing here. I'll play my last tune, and then we'll do a tune together to round out the night. But the tune I'm going to play is, you know, Dan and I were talking about doing originals, and I've written quite a few originals actually, and it's a good time to plug for myself. If you want to hear those originals, you can go to my website, bijantaghavi.com.
There you go.
I want to say /compositions, but if you just go to the site and find it, it'd be much better off. But and writing is a really fun part of jazz, because that's when we improvise, we basically spontaneously compose. So when you compose, you get to sit down and write it. And got a chance to write for studio orchestra and big band and all different sizes of jazz ensembles and solo piano and duos and things like that. So writing is really fun. But actually, the tune that I'm about to play of Fred Hirsch's is it's kind of fitting that I'm playing a tune by him, because I mentioned earlier how he's a great pianist and composer, and I've had the privilege of studying with him. But he would always, he always tells me, I don't know if he wants, well actually he says this in interviews, so I'm sure he's fine with me saying this, but he always tells his students, including myself, but he thinks that it's crazy that all these young people are writing tunes nowadays. And he always tells a story about how he's a great composer, and he never wrote his first tune until he was like 30 or something. But he says this because, you know, there's so many great tunes out there, so like, what business do you have writing your own tune? Like, why does anybody want to hear my tune when there's Wayne Shorter's compositions out there, and Billy Strayhorn's and Duke Ellington's and Cole Porter's, and, you know, go learn those first. Then maybe once you've, you know, had some time with that, come back and write your own stuff with the knowledge of that. But this is a tune of his. This is entitled Whirl, and you got to hear him play it, because he really does. I can't do justice to it. He really plays the. If I could curse, I would curse. He really plays the beep out of it. But but anyway, I'll do my best here. But this is a composition by Fred Hirsch. It's entitled Whirl. Yeah.
Bijan, man, what a beautiful piece of music. Oh my
It
God.
really is something. It's such
It really is something. Yeah, it's wild.
but its
You
beauty
know?
makes it hard to play though. It's it's a
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing to play, and I'm sure Fred would be very impressed what you did with his beautiful composition. It's great, and
yeah.
again, you're doing it all on electric piano too, and you're not even on a real, a big piano like he recorded it on.
Right. Yeah, I
But
mean, even noticing like while I was doing it, I mean, us as pianists we know this, but maybe the average Joe Blow may not know that. Like a real piano has like 100 moving parts when you hit a key, right? So as a result, you have a wide range of like sensitivity dynamics, but also like because the keys are so long too. I mean, we just see the front part of the key on a piano, but if you open it up, the key is actually this big. You just only see this part. So as a result, like repeated notes, you can actually repeat notes pretty fast. But if you notice, like on a keyboard, I can't even. It starts to, like,
yeah, yeah, for
get
sure,
stuck.
sure.
I was noticing that I was playing. I'm like, uh-oh, it's not coming out.
So what are we going to play together? So this is what we were saying we're going to play something together. So I guess you had something in mind, and he wouldn't tell me. So it's like we'll see what it's all about.
Yeah, well, one of the first tunes that I heard Dan play that really got me inspired to start playing jazz is this tune, "Taking a Chance on Love." I did that Prodigy concert that you hosted, but a couple weeks later, you had your own performance with your trio, and I remember I sat right in the front row, and
Yeah, I remember.
I was staring at you, and then I was mentioning this to Dan earlier, as he gave me, you can go back and watch the video, he gives me like a little look, he's like, what is this, why is he just staring at me? But that's also how I met Robert, that's actually another way that we both found each other and met each other, is I discovered Robert in a similar way. He was playing, a great classical pianist, and like he has a lot of content online too, his big YouTube channel, Living Pianos Videos, but he was playing a concert just at like a family friend's house, and I wasn't studying with him at the time, obviously. I didn't know who he was. So I grabbed a seat, and I think I put it like right, I was like blocking the whole audience too. I put it like right in front of the piano. I was just like staring at his hands. But so I was thinking, I basically did a similar thing with Dan, especially when he was playing this tune, and I loved it so much. I think actually that was like my first transcription ever I transcribed.
Yeah, I remember you transcribed.
Yeah.
He transcribed this thing of my whole solo on this thing, and he came back and he played the whole thing. I'm like, what is this? So anyway, we're gonna do this now. The thing is, I'm gonna keep my voice mic on so we can kind of talk. Yeah, I guess we can, or do we not? Yeah, we probably can. We can, because if we have anything to say between things, and I'll try not to hum too much. And
yeah, that's the one thing.
I know that's the thing. I lose my voice after playing for a while. But we're gonna go to. We can't play together, so we're gonna take turns on this thing a little bit, and we're gonna see how it works. All right. Why don't I take the first one? Yeah. Okay, cool. Sounds cool, man. All right, we could do our headshot in here.
Yeah, let's do this.
We're learning all this technology stuff, so now I get my little head up here.
Right. Should I cover my?
I can really get wild here and do it like this and really freak everyone out.
Well, I have this ugly shot that I won't show for my third angle, but go ahead, do it. Oh man.
Yeah. Well, anyway, hey, this has been it's been really fun, Bijan. I'm glad we boy we've been at it. And the thing is, when you're having so much fun, time does fly. I'm looking through. I found a way because I was like I'm so used to seeing in. Oh, I see Karen Cameron. Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's like she's a wonderful, wonderful singer. I mean, I worked
Yep.
with Karen way back
Nice.
in the day. I'm so grateful she's here. Albert Lamb. I'm looking at all the people. Len Whitmore, the jazz guru, is in.
We have
Uh,
a funny comment here. I gotta just bring it
like,
up just to get a good laugh
yeah, I
about it.
see. And I'm going to personally write back to everyone. I want to really thank you all for coming in. This has been really, a magical way to kind of keep us, you know, embracing the new year, and in a way that we still feel connected to everyone, as opposed to just staying home. So we're want to thank you all for coming. And
Right.
were you going to
Let
say
us
it
know
again?
if you guys enjoyed this. Leave us a comment. I think I hear myself through your thing, Dan. But let us know
Oh,
if you enjoy this. If you did, maybe we'll consider doing it again. And it's been a pleasure. I hope everybody has a happy New Year. I hope we, gave you guys some kind of something to watch, before you watch the ball in Times Square with an empty
yeah,
Times Square.
yeah.
But
Now we're going to have some dinner. It's still early here. It's late where you are.
all right, you got that whole mountain standard.
I'm like
You guys
2
are
hours.
growing
I'm
like
2 hours from Boston time, so I'm going
right.
to go have some dinner and a nice cool
Awesome.
O'Doul's,
Well, thanks for
non-alcohol
having me,
beer.
Dan.
Yeah.
Thanks for your
But
continued.
anyway, hey, you take care of yourself, my friend, and we'll be talking. And and again, everyone out there, God bless you all. Let's hope for many blessings for the year ahead. And
Oh, one last thing.
go ahead.
Just another reminder: if anybody it's not a requirement. You don't have to, but we'd greatly appreciate it if you wanted to tip. I couldn't get it to be in the description, but the PayPal, Venmo, however you want to contribute is in the comments.
Yeah, it actually goes to my accounts, and I make sure I take care of this guy.
Yeah.
It's like a real starving musician, It's like, But no, we really, times are, again, we appreciate it. It's not necessary, but again, it's our pleasure. We had a great time, and I'm glad we were able to share it with you all. Okay, so we want to wish you all again a Happy New Year, and brighter things ahead for all of us. Good night. Take care.